Where is Jenny?
Ja, Jenny
There
was
she
coming.
is.
Yeah.
And
Is including
Yeah, I continue to
including
record.
cool, including the migration, data and analytics, Gen AI, cloud ops, networking, and DevOps. And then I work hand in hand with Crystal, and I brought Brendan, my senior solutions architect. He's got 5.5 years experience with AWS, data analytics and Gen AI projects. Tons of experience throughout many customer engagements. So, Brendan, I'll pass it over to you.
Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. Yeah, I mean, you did it, Jenny. I've been building applications, architecting, engineering them for a long time. So excited to hear what you guys are looking to get out of both the workshop and then any modernization, data and analytics, that side of the house too.
We're first looking to fix something. Many things need to be fixed. The reason is, no, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Rob Oudendijk. I run a small company in the mountains in Nara, and I've been with Safecast for a long time. I mean, it started with going up with journalists to the exploded nuclear power plants, and then helping out in hardware and software and anywhere where I could help out. And with Safecast, we started first to make our own API on Temple, and then we moved to GoDaddy, and from GoDaddy we started to build a complete other system from scratch. So basically, then we started with AWS. I can send you the documentation of the current setup, so you can have a look at it. And it's basically, it was working fine for about 6 years, 7 years. And then the main person left. The documentation was correct, but it was not functional. I mean, in the sense that maintenance was not very clear defined, how to keep the system running, how to expand it. This was all but just put together with many people, and then one person left and another person came and didn't know how to do, did it their own way. And it's at the moment, I would say it's a kind of disarray. It's functional, but some parts really don't work. Basically, we use it as data storage. So it's a Postgres database. It picks up data. There's an endpoint where we can send data to. It goes into free load balance. It's custom gateways. They go into the database, and two big databases are RDS, and one is, we call it the API database. Another one is the ingest database. We store radiation data, we store location data, we store air data, and we can expand what we want. That's the idea, at least.
Yep. Okay. Understood. Yeah, I would love to see the diagrams, if you have them. I saw that you completely open source. Everything's on GitHub. Is that right?
Basically,
I
yes.
was kind of poking through it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I found some architecture diagrams on there, but I didn't find maybe the most recent or I'm curious. So right now, you guys are kind of operating in the IoT realm, but
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like you're using purpose-built IoT architecture. Is
That's
that
correct. Yeah.
okay? Understood. And so is there an effort to kind of move to that purpose-built IoT architecture?
I don't know. Currently there's not many people working on the system. So basically, I'm the only one, and at the moment, I'm setting up a mini system. It's completely from fresh, from using DuckDB even instead of Postgres, and using fast API for customizing it and
Yeah.
making it very simple. Basically, personally what I want to do is make it very simple, make it cheap to operate, cheap to
Hmm.
maintain, and preferable, even everything open source, and not and we transportable to other platforms, that we can run everything in a container and then move it where we want. not even AWS. I mean, at the moment we have AWS, but even I will be open to move it to other places.
Understood. I see. So would you be looking at something like Kubernetes ideally for that?
That's one idea. Yeah.
Okay. Understood. So is the idea right now that you have kind of the writes on one end, and then you also do analytics on the other end that people
Yeah.
are allowed to
Yeah.
leverage? Okay.
People take data from us, and we have displaying data, and people basically we're open, so they can take any data what they want. They can display the way they prefer it.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Sorry
is
to
some.
cover. Is that the correct diagram, Rob, to represent that kind of system?
This is an older diagram,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
But then if you go to GitHub, there is a more newer one in the infrastructure too.
Infrastructure. Okay.
Infra 2. Yeah, that's the one. It is currently updated. At
Okay, I'll
least
share the link.
what we know.
This is the more
Yeah,
current.
yeah.
Got it.
This is the simplified version from it. So, but this is a good overview how we how the data flows.
Understood. Okay. And then, Crystal, you mentioned something about modernization on the analytics BI side. First off, did I hear that correctly at the kickoff to this call? And
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So in our last conversation, we were talking about how one of their current challenges is that they have a large data set and their current visualization system is using old technology and it's difficult to maintain. And they want something that can handle global mapping of their data.
Got
But
it.
it kind of
Yeah,
sounds like they're just looking for or you guys are looking for something that's less complex overall.
less complex, and also that it's as much open source and not depending on licenses as possible. Because we have for example, this map what you're seeing, we cannot update it because the licensing for it, the person we cannot reach anymore. And then license need to be extended, and the same for the apps. We have the same situation.
Understood. Yeah. The AWS tool for this would be QuickSight, and that doesn't really solve the problem that you're looking for of no licensing. So that wouldn't be a good option. Okay.
There are many options for it, as far as I know, but we have to find the right balance between to all the things that are important for us.
Am I understanding correctly? This is because you don't want to spend money.
It's not directly money related. It's also about the whole concept that it's open source, that everybody can do it, and our data is open. So as much as possible. Of course, we have to make compromises somewhere. We have to host it somewhere, and we have to get support for it.
Sure.
It's not that I say we don't want to spend money, because we have to spend money. We all know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most obvious way to assist would be a well-architected framework review. And that's AWS's kind of standard offering review of the environment that you currently have for the sort of 6 pillars. The 6 pillars that Amazon.com was built with. And so now those 6 pillars have been sort of adapted to an overall offering that AWS offers, where we analyze operational excellence, security, reliability, sustainability, cost op, and performance efficiency. We essentially just go through your environment and, yep, this is exactly it right here.
Yes,
so this would be the most obvious offering, but in terms of building out BI platforms without licensing, I don't think AWS has a standard offering for that, because realistically their offering is QuickSight, and that's not what you're looking for.
But I'd like to have the option to know the possibilities for that.
Yeah, that would be the QuickSight. You're so we specialize in AWS's options.
Yes, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
The QuickSight, the dashboard, is it mostly like a back-end tool for the administrators, or is it aimed at being like a public-facing tool for like data visualization?
It I would say both. It is primarily meant to be like a user to user mapping, not to be super open. But there are ways that you spread sort of you can create anonymous users, so to speak, and have them subscribe to single or double or triple or X number of licenses. So it can be adapted to a sort of a public facing. If you go to see how this would actually look, if you go to QuickSight Demo Central, the website, just type in Demo Central on this. Yeah, there you go, and you'll be able to get an idea.
But we can also run like a Grafana on AWS too. I mean, that's what we're doing at the moment too.
Yes. Yeah. You could take any of those platforms and run them on EC2, run them on a VM on the AWS. That's exactly right.
This
So if
one,
you
the
click
dashboard.
yeah, you could click that. And then if you hit the little bar on the right here, or on the left here, sorry. Yeah, you'll be able to see dashboard demo. You could click a whole bunch of different ones um, that have been adopted. I don't know off the top of my hand of one that has a good map.
Because
No,
in the maps you have to make overlays and customize it because the data has been pulled from many different sources for the maps. If you want
no,
to
this
build
one
a
is going to.
replacement.
Yeah. But in all honesty, QuickSight would not be I don't think it would be the tool for the job in this particular case. Number one, I don't think it meets the business requirements that you guys are looking for. And number two, I don't think it would meet here's a good example of the map, but I don't think it would meet the granularity requirements that you're looking for either on the map.
Yeah, and we need to pull many data. We're currently using Elastic for indexing the data. It's because we have to pull many layers. This looks very simple.
So I'll quickly kind of share with the wafer that we had mentioned the way that works. Pricing wise is it's typically 5K up front. And now there has been some recent changes. I don't know if they've gone into effect yet. We have to get back on that. But typically it's 5K up front. And then AWS provides 5K in credits.
Okay.
That have to be used in 6 months.
And the 5K means for analyzing basically, or for how is that 5K spent normally?
So you mean like the 5,000 that so Zeb would charge 5,000 for the to perform the architecture review.
Okay.
And then AWS gives a statement credit.
Okay.
And we can send over some more information and just summarize that as well. Do you want to think about if you would like to move forward with the well-architected review, or do you know that you would want to?
No, I would like to know, really. I think this is a very good idea. And I would like to know, do you have samples of reviews being done from similar organizations for other NGOs, or can you share that? I don't know if how much the privacy is involved in them.
Yeah, we don't really have examples of reviews done, and definitely partners don't share any information from other companies just for security reasons.
Yes, definitely.
but we can send you some more information on what the review will entail.
Okay. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
really useful. Send it to me and send it to Cesar so we can both
Okay.
look at it.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay. Maybe just a technical question. So when you see data views, let's say like the one we were looking at with the military just a minute ago, or something like this. So there's a map. So in your experience, if you have those points, in our case with the Sidcast, we have 250 million data points in this database. Is that correct, or Rob? You tell me
Yeah.
more
No, no,
precisely.
no.
Like,
That's
yeah,
the measurements are correct. The size is different,
yeah.
but
Mhm. And so the question would be like, if you have to load that many points, is it possible to do it in such a window, and would it be economically efficient? And the
oh,
second question is, what kind of a database do you guys do you use in the backend to actually produce such a dashboard?
Yep. So to the first point, I don't think QuickSight would do a good job of rendering that many data points. In part because you don't necessarily control the web page's compute here. So like the actual rendering wouldn't look good. Now, in terms of the behind the scenes data engineering, that would work fine. Like that would do perfectly
Mm,
fine. So the way that QuickSight works, it's kind of interesting. You can either connect it. So in your case, you could connect it directly to Postgres and do direct query. Or you can load data into what's called Spice, which is QuickSight's in-memory data store. But in general, QuickSight automatically connects to practically any database in the AWS ecosystem, can pull data in, query on demand, and or store data in Spice. Spice, you can look it up. It stands for super fast, in memory, parallel. Anyway, you get the point. Each of the letters stands for something. Um, and
it's
so
something. I assume it's something like DuckDB. It does it analyzing directly into memory.
that's just,
it is in memory, but so it's super fast, parallel, in memory, calculation engine. So it stands for.
Okay,
There you go.
so basically,
Uh,
an analytic tool for that.
Yeah, so in other words, like what it does, what like if you want to use Spice, Spice is generally the recommendation if you want to render high quality dashboards in a
Mhm.
moment's notice, because you don't want to be running direct queries, especially if you're querying a lot of data. You don't want to pull all that
Yeah.
data in from DB all the time. So essentially, it stores it in memory. It also, this is actually the function that makes QuickSight not really good for real-time data as well. So
mm,
because you are going to be storing stuff in memory,
Yeah.
you don't really want to be doing direct queries in your DBs. You can,
Mhm.
and you can make QuickSight semi near real time. But in general, this is what makes QuickSight different in that it's not really meant to be real time.
Okay, but if you put Elasticsearch between, then you would speed up a little bit probably because you
Yeah,
have
you mean
then
put it and then
Postgres,
do
Elastic,
direct
and then
query?
you Spice on
Yeah,
top.
yeah, you could. Yeah, you absolutely
Because
could. And you can also
the
direct
in
query like you could also direct query Redshift or any other data warehouse, for example,
yeah,
which is also incredibly fast, but it doesn't compare to the speed of just storing data in Spice.
yeah,
The problem with Spice is memory capacity. So
yes.
for Spice, you have about by default 100 gigs of
Mhm.
memory, of storage, I mean, and you have to pay forget the number. It actually went down recently, but it's some small percent, some small number of USD cents per gigabyte or per 10 gigabytes after that.
Yeah, for the
So,
memory, I can
um,
imagine.
if you want to store tons of data in QuickSight, the price can add up. But
Yes, I can imagine that.
yeah,
and the cost is every time there's a query sent, right? So if somebody goes on the website, they query the data, and then there's basically that's a line of cost in our.
kind of. So it's interesting. There's kind of two ways that you can um, price QuickSight out, interestingly, and there's two different use cases for it. But in essence, you're going to be paying a maximum of $5 and or $3 per user per month. That's essentially what it breaks down to. So you're correct in that you spend a fixed amount per query, or actually a varying amount per query, but you cap it out per user at $5 or $3. So once you hit that threshold, you stop going up and you
Mhm.
start flattening out. So you can imagine if it's used a lot, then like over time you go sublinear.
Mhm.
or you start to level off.
And how
When you mean
flexible? Yeah. Well, go ahead.
go ahead.
And how flexible is Spice for example, for modifying layers or like at the moment we're using Grafana for building our dashboard, but Spice will speed it up too if we make other layers on top, or it's only the query.
It's only the query, and I would say
Mm.
Grafana does a kind of a. I would say Grafana has a different use case than
Yes,
QuickSight.
it's true. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't put QuickSight. QuickSight is not really meant to. So if you go back to the QuickSight dashboard, the Demo Central dashboard,
Mhm.
I'll just highlight this. Um,
Mhm.
so in here, like go to a different one here. Go to, I don't know, like go to City Bike. City Bike's always a good one to show off because it kind of proves the point, I think.
Not to interrupt or anything, but we have a hard stop in 9 minutes.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you.
So in this case, oh, this is actually an interesting map too. Look at that.
Yeah.
I accidentally brought you to a good map. I forgot this even had a map. But you can see here that the granularity, like it took a minute to render that. When you go back, it takes another minute to
Mm.
render. It's not really meant to do this like uh visualization at scale for maps specifically. But my broader point here is that you can get this to be pretty artistic and get it to go outside the confines of your typical business intelligence tool. But I would
Mhm.
argue it's not really meant for that, the way Grafana might be meant for that.
Yeah.
It's meant to house semi-normal reports for business intelligence purely, not for visualization purely.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Thank you for the explanation. What other important points we have for the other 8 minutes?
I think the important part here now is for you folks to review the documents that Crystal sent over and see if that makes sense and worth the 5K out of pocket. Just a heads up what it potentially, the new program it is typically going to be a max of 3,000 is going to be covered by AWS, and that's an up to amount. So again, we have to check on the back end to see if this is kicked into effect. But there's a potential that that could be up to 3K, and it depends on what you rectify. So we'll have to get additional information over based on that as well. So I think really that's kind of where we're at here.
Okay.
So yeah, take a look at what Crystal sent, and then we'll reconnect.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Cool. And we'll
All
get
right.
back
Thanks so
to
much.
you on the program details.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
For your
Thanks so
time.
much.
Good.
Thanks
Okay.
for your
All
time.
right.
Um,
Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.